What do you like about Thailand the most?
I always went to the restaurants that had like the square things with the chili powder, the sugar. So I knew when they had this, it's like a proper Thai restaurant.
Okay. What do you think about Thai education?
Thai people are very hardworking. Sometimes it was hard because they didn't want to turn on their camera during the Zoom session.
Hello, Gian. How are you?
Hi, Nat. I'm great.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm doing good too. Where are you right now?
I'm in Germany right now, close to Frankfurt.
First of all, could you please introduce yourself a little bit to my audience?
My name is Gian. I'm from Switzerland. I like to travel a lot. I finished my business university studies in Switzerland, in St. Gallen, Switzerland, which is like 1 hour from Zurich. So far, I've been to Thailand twice. Once 4 years ago, traveling after my army service. And then the second time during my exchange, the 1st of August last year, where I stayed for 6 months.
What made you decide to do an exchange program in Thailand?
So one reason is definitely because I already went there 4 years ago. And I went to many different Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia, Philippines, and so on. And Thailand I like the most because of the food is a big reason. The Thai food culture is so various and really delicious. And the other thing is really the people. I made some great friends there. The people are very friendly and caring, so that made me come back. And the third reason is definitely the nature and the beautiness of the country, I think.
Sounds like you really enjoyed your experience in Thailand. That's why you decided to come back.
Definitely.
As an exchange student.
Definitely. And also, of course, my roommate in Switzerland, she decided to do an exchange. And then I was like, okay, we'll just go together and have a nice time together there. So in the end, we were a group of 5 students from my university, and we always traveled together there.
As I remember, I met some of your friends by coincidence when we living in Samui.
Natalie, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And I just interviewed Stephanie as well. She also from the same university as you.
She's actually close to Frankfurt also, so not too far away.
I don't even know yet which university that you decide to do an exchange student program.
I went to Mahidol University. There's like 2 exchange programs. One is funded by the university at home. But this you can only apply to if in your first year of studies you had a decent grade, and I had 0.01 grade, not enough to apply for that program. For example, Kazetsart or Chulalongkorn were already not an option, so I decided to go for Mahidol.
I know you have been like studying during COVID time, but I would love to know how was your experience as a student exchange here in Thailand?
So I think studying there during COVID time was probably the best thing that could have happened because one Mahidol's campus is like 30-40 minutes outside of the city, and we would have needed to go to classes physically if it wasn't for COVID. But since everything was online, we could just study from everywhere, which is why we stayed in Phuket for 2-3 weeks. Then we stayed in Samui for another month, then moved to Bangkok for another month, Chiang Mai a month. So we were able to travel a lot because everything was online, and therefore we got to know a lot more people, I think. I think it's a great opportunity.
Do you think you travel more than study back then?
Probably. Well, I'm a very efficient student, I would say. I try to keep my work time as low and my grades as high as possible, and it kind of worked out. If you know how to work efficiently, it's fine. In the end, I was planning on finishing my bachelor thesis end of October, but then in the end, it was mid of December because I was just traveling too much. Also in Samui, I visited so many places during the day because I usually just had a class in the afternoon, and the rest of the day I was just driving around with my scooter.
What do you think about Thai education? Do you think Thai education lack of something?
So the professors that I had were very good, especially my economy professor. He was very interesting because he always connected the theory with the cases of the Thai industry. And I think the Thai economy is very interesting. Most people just think of tourism. But I learned that there's a big car industry in Thailand, there's a big chemical industry in Thailand, things that you don't know about first. And I think Thai people are very hardworking. Sometimes they're not so much on time, at least what I saw from my colleagues when I had to do courses with them together. But I cannot say anything. I think it's been late as well now for this appointment. But generally, I think, they're really hardworking, and it's nice to collaborate with them.
So the difference between Swiss student and Thai student is on time. You mean like most of the Swiss people are always
No,
on
that's not
time?
the only thing.
Or
Yeah, Swiss people are very on time. So, for example, the trains, they arrive always and they leave on the second. Generally, yeah, I think they were very hardworking. And sometimes maybe Thai people are a bit shy to say what they think. They have an opinion, but they are shy to say it. That's one thing I realized, especially in group works, you had to kind of ask for their opinion and then they said it. Or sometimes it was hard because they didn't want to turn on their camera during the Zoom session. Then you had to say like, let's everyone turn on their Zoom cameras so we can at least see each other. And they're very hard, like the professor always randomly picked a person and then you had to answer to see if you were listening to the session. I think it's more strict in Thailand than it is in Switzerland, because in Switzerland it's not obligatory to go to classes. You can do so if you want, but in the end what counts is the test. At least at Mahidol University there were a lot of assignments during the semester that you had to do to constantly test you. In the end I like that one more because it forces you to keep learning, where in Switzerland you don't do anything during the year and then in like a month before the exams you study everything.
Do you have anything else
Yeah,
that you
exactly.
think it's different?
Well, one difference, if it was on the campus, of course, everyone would have to have uniforms.
What do you think about that? I wonder about the Thai uniform as well. But did you have a chance to wearing Thai uniform back then?
Oh, no, I never had to wear a Thai uniform. I never had the chance. No. They look quite nice. Well, in Switzerland we don't have uniform, or in Europe in general. But I think it's good in a country where the income is a bit more unequal, of course. Yeah, you cannot tell who's rich and who's poor, maybe. So everyone looks the same. So I think for a country like Thailand and so on, it makes sense at least for some time until everyone is on a good income level. Yeah,
That's good.
otherwise there will be like judging and so on. So I think that's a good measure.
If you can choose only one place that you can go after school in Thailand, where do you want to go?
It's very hard to choose. So one of my big favorites is Chiang Mai, because in Switzerland I'm also from a small mountain village, and in Chiang Mai you have the mountains very close by. It's not too hot, so I really like that region. And there's a lot of international people, like digital nomads, co-working spaces, nice cafes. So I really like Chiang Mai for that. And the university campus with the lake and so on is beautiful. I always went running there in the morning. And of course, like you in 3 hours, you're in Pai, and Pai is also a nice village. And otherwise, I really enjoyed Samui a lot. And that's probably the place where I spent most time, like 2.5, 3 months of the 6 months. Yeah, you probably like Samui as much as me. It's just a nice island. There's the south part, which is a bit more calm and laid back. Then there's the northeast part with the airport, where you have all the parties and bars and restaurants. So there's a lot of things to do on the island.
I wonder what was the worst experience in Thailand?
The worst experience probably is I arranged an Airbnb in Bangkok for 1 month, and it was through a Thai-Chinese guy, and he eventually scammed me. Basically, he made me pay for the apartment, but it was not even available. It was an Ashton apartment building, and they also said they don't rent out to only 1 month rentals and so on. But this I only realized afterwards, and then I had like a huge hassle with Airbnb for them to give me my money back, but eventually it worked out. So that was probably my worst experience. Yeah.
What do you like about Thailand the most then?
That's a hard question. The food, probably. I think the food. When I choose restaurants, I always went to the restaurants that had like the square things with the chili powder, the sugar, the oil. So I knew when they had this, it's like a proper Thai restaurant.
Okay.
And usually when I went there also, it was a like a really friendly like person who owned the restaurant, and not often tourists go to that place because they don't look so clean sometimes and so on, but there was the best food. If I had to say one thing, it's probably food, yeah.
And what's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish is Pad Krapao Gai.
Pad Krapao Gai. Very Thai, you know. Thai people love Pad Krapao. You eat like Thai people.
Yeah, very spicy. I like it very spicy.
Do you think is there anything in Thailand better than your country?
Yeah, definitely. So I think people are more open, less reserved than back here. In Switzerland, everyone is a bit like, not so happy or just for themselves. And I think in Thailand, the people are more open to get to know other people and so on. I hear from a lot of people who come to Switzerland from outside that they have a hard time making friends. And that wasn't the case for me in Thailand. I had a lot of Thai friends in the end. And some of them are even coming to Europe now, and I can show them my country. So that's really nice.
I'm happy to know that, and I'm happy to know you as well. Like, you are a very friendly person, but sadly we didn't have a chance to meet in person back then. But hopefully you can come back to Thailand soon.
Definitely.
And I would love to visit your country as well, Switzerland. It's one of my
if you have the time and especially the money, you should come. It's a bit expensive.
That's the hardest thing for me, that I need to save up a lot of money before I visit your country. Yeah, I would love to go, definitely. All right, I think that's it. That's for today. Thank you for joining me on Nat Talk, and hopefully I will see you.
Having me here.
Thank you everyone for watching this video as well, and see you on the next episode. Bye bye.
Bye.